Hey guys, I'm Ray, and we are streaming Blacksmithing. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the shop. So, today this is our first stream since BAM, and yeah, so we are back here. We're gonna have some fun. Um, so, I am still kind of recovering from BAM. It was a lot. It was definitely a lot. Um, hey Mahalo, welcome to the stream. So yeah, I'm still a little bit tired. I'm still having a tiny bit of trouble breathing. Um, so we're gonna stream for as long as possible, and then we'll raid off. So, um, mic audio is clear, but volume is low. I'll bet you it is because test 1 2. Is that a little better? Test 1 2. Is that better still? I think that's closer to like what I or the normal volume. Better still. Okay. So I think I'm gonna leave it here. And if it gets too loud after things start getting louder, um, let me know and I will try to kind of I'll lower it again. Yeah, because what happens is the interviews we have to lower the volume a little bit. Then because when it comes through straight through the camera, it's a little bit higher than when it comes through the laptop. So yeah, so I have to kind of like make sure all the settings get done and or like reset to my normal standard. And sometimes I forget one or two. Hey, Ping. Yeah, it makes sense. Different dynamic environments. Yes. So yeah, like I said, I'm a little bit tired. That's why I'm sitting right now. So today's format, what we're going to be doing is we're going to talk a little bit, and then I'm going to continue working on our blacksmith friend or our guillotine tool. And then once I get too tired out, we're going to talk a little bit more. You guys, I'll let you guys answer some ask some questions. I'll answer them. We can talk a little bit. And then when we've run out of things to talk about, we'll raid off again. We're probably going to only do about 2.5 hours of stream, which is normal. How was the van life? So yeah, that's the format that we go. But yes, I'll answer that question. Actually, it's pretty comfy. Um, so we spent 2 nights on site because we got there on Friday night around 7 o'clock ish. So we got there just in time to watch the forging competition. And then after that, we went back to the van and we spent the night. And it was cold. So cold in there. There's a little bit of insulation in the van, like, a 1/4 inch thick of sound deadening and insulation combo, like sticky insulation. And unfortunately, that's just not a lot of like warmth. It's pretty good for keeping in the cool, like for an air conditioner or whatnot, but it is not very good at keeping heat inside of the vehicle. So luckily, we had both a mini heater and a heated blanket. And so we put the heated blanket underneath of us and we had that on all night and it was relatively comfortable for the most part. The little mini heater didn't really do much, so we just kind of got rid of that because we were a little afraid to go to sleep with like a space heater in case it got knocked over or something. So yeah, we just kind of slept with the heated blanket. It wasn't going on all night, but it still kept it relatively warm. Evening Sandwich, welcome to the stream. Welcome back to the shop. So yeah, other than that, I mean, it was pretty good. The second night, it was not nearly as cold. The first night, it was probably in the 40s Fahrenheit, and then the second night, it was probably in the 50s. So it was a little bit on the cold side, but it wasn't too bad. So yeah, that's how that went. Um, the location that we were at was a little bit on the sketch side. The first night that we were out there, like there was a car next to us and like 2 slots over that looked like it had been set on fire, and it didn't even have a driver's side window, so it was a little bit sketch. And so we were a little bit scared to, leave things outside. um so unfortunately we were unable to use yeah, it was weird. So unfortunately, we were not able to leave anything outside, like in our campsite, and overnight because we were a little bit nervous about that. I mean, most of the other people that were in that site they looked all right, but that one was a little bit sketch. So I don't know if they were just spending the night there because they just didn't have anywhere else to go or what. I don't know. By the time we were up and moving, they were gone. So I don't know if the ranger kicked them out or they were, whatever. But yeah, it was on site on the Missouri State Fairgrounds. Um, and so, yeah, it was a little bit awkward, but I think overall, we locked the doors and we were pretty safe and comfortable inside the van. We just didn't want to leave anything outside the van, if that makes sense. I think there's an ad in progress. So for whatever reason, it didn't like give me a notification like it normally does on the stream chat. I think I can see it vaguely from my monitoring. But yeah, so maybe it was towed away. I don't know. All I know is that, yeah, we saw this car when we came to the site, and it was like really dark outside. So it was just like a silhouette of this car. And when I got up to go to the bathroom, and that morning at like, I don't know, 7 o'clock or whatever, it was there and it looked like that it had been set on fire. Like the interior, and there was someone in it too with like a little thin blanket. I was like, how did you stay warm overnight? But yeah, I don't know. But other than that, I mean, van camping was fine. I felt relatively safe, for the most part, probably due to the fact that I didn't see that the car was as jank as it looked when I woke up in the morning. So yeah, it was relatively pleasant. Like I said, the second night they weren't there, so it was fine then. We were able to have a few pieces of like our setup outside the second night. And yeah, so overall, I had so much fun, but I worked so hard. So most of our videos I recorded on Saturday. Like I said, we got to the site around 7 p.m. and things are starting to wrap up. So most of my stuff that like we actually recorded and made videos of, we did that all on Saturday, and I was so wiped by the end of the day. I ran and ran and ran. So we have videos for we have for sure 5 videos and another 2 that I'm hoping that I got enough footage for, so we can have 7 videos from the one-day trip that we did. Or I guess we were there until like Sunday, but there wasn't anything to record on Sunday. So yeah, that's kind of how it went. And I had so much fun talking with you guys and interviewing the few people that we were able to talk to. And I interviewed probably like 3 or 4 other people besides that you guys didn't get to see live. So I will be posting videos about that over the next couple of weeks. My plan is to do one BAM video and then one of our videos here in the shop, and then, alternate weeks for the next couple of weeks. There is also a very good chance that we will still have BAM videos to release by the time we go to our next trip. And if that is the case, we'll kind of address that as we go. I might put a hold on some of our in-shop videos so that I can get those out in a timely fashion. If that's the case, then it might just be a BAM video and then whatever the other event is video, and we will continue until we finish with our BAM videos. But yeah, I want to get them all out in a relatively timely fashion. And ordinarily, I would just do 2 videos in a week, but I'm afraid that if I do that, I can't keep up doing 2 videos a week for like the rest of. I just can't guarantee that I'm going to be able to do 2 videos a week from now until whenever. So we're going to continue our 1 video schedule for the moment. And, you know, our 3 streams a week. So, all right. So, I think I'm going to do a little bit of cutting on our Blacksmith helper / guillotine tool. And when I have to move the piece because I need to do a new cut, or if I need to change the disc, we can talk a little bit more. Sound good, guys? Oh, also, I found my tape measure. It was on top of my drill press. I had no idea it was there, but when I was moving it into the main space, it fell off and I caught it. And so there it was. I was pretty excited. Okay, so first things first, I guess I need to like put this guy, you know, kind of make sure it is not gonna fall over or like move on me while I'm grinding, or I mean cutting. I hate this particular clamp. It doesn't work very well. Come on. Be nice. Trying to keep things out of the way as best as possible. Maybe I want to move that now that I think about it. I think I'll move it over there so that it's completely out of my way. So I want to finish this piece this week. So if I don't finish this piece by Friday, I'm going to work on it over the weekend because I really want to start a new piece on Monday. So if you don't get to see it all, I will record what you guys don't get to see and post that on YouTube. Like I said, I'm really trying to make sure that you guys get to see everything, but I'm also like running a little bit behind on our shop videos. Hey, Corwin, welcome to the stream. Welcome, welcome. Okay, we're nice and on here. Alrighty. So yeah, we're going to do a little bit of cutting, and like I said, I'll be taking short breaks between, you know, to change the cutting disc and to change where the location of the clamps, and I'll answer more questions. Then, I'm sorry, I'm going to be a little bit on the quiet side while I'm actually grinding this, mostly because I got to concentrate and I can't really hear, and so yeah. I will answer what questions I can in between cuts. Okay. I'm going to turn on the camera so you guys can kind of see all the nice sparks and everything. And then we're going to do this one. And I think I'm going to go with over there. Sounds good. Okay, guys. Alrighty, so our first cut is complete. You can see it right there. So we do need to take off a second cut here, but I'm not going to worry about that just yet. So we're going to set this aside, and we are going to reposition our clamps. So that one took a lot less time, and it was a lot easier because we started that cut on, I think it was Wednesday of last week, so like a week ago. Man, that was forever ago, I feel like. But that's what happens, you know, when I am streaming live from places. So we're going to set this one up. And then once we set this guy up, probably going to move the camera a little bit to over there. So we can get a couple different angles on this. And I'm also going to take the opportunity to kind of take a drink and take off my mask. I left my cup in the van, so I didn't get to wash it. So I'm using a smaller one. And I also am out of like Gatorade and juice too. So I'm really struggling today. We're not going to get any Gatorade o'clock, which is like, ugh, you know. I think it'll be all right, though. I'm not spoiled at all, guys. I'm not spoiled at all. Okay. So like I said, we've got one piece done. And we are going to cut our second half out. And then from there, we've got a front, and we're going to cut a back. Then we're going to make two smaller, shorter cuts to make our base. Later on, we also have some 5/8 inch stock that we need to cut at 7 inches. And then we've got to cut the little openings in these guys. So that's why I have the drill press out. And I also have the lovely step drill bits that you guys sent me. So it should be really, really nice. It should work very well. The last time I used these guys, it drilled like butter, and it was gorgeous. I didn't struggle at all. So we'll be using those. All right. Let's start our second cut. This one is probably going to take a little bit longer than our first cut, but we're going to do our best. How's our disc looking? It's a little raggy, but I think it'll be all right. If it becomes an issue, we will 100% change that. Alright, so I am having some issues with this particular handle right here. I'm having some trouble. So let's flip this guy. Hopefully it'll work if I put some tension on it. But the reason I had it upside down to begin with is it does not like to hold. Oh, it keeps popping on me. Well, that didn't work. Not at all. Look at that. It just fell off. All right. All right. I'm struggling here. So let us turn the camera so you guys don't have to see me struggle as much. We're going to use this clamp, I think. I think this clamp will work. At least I hope it does. Maybe not. We'll see. Looks like it's a little bit too wide to go through these. But I think the one clamp is doing all right, holding it in place. So maybe we'll just use that. If it becomes an issue, I will find another clamp. Okay, well that means I need to change it because I totally just like cracked this because it fell. You know, because even if we're not forging, I gotta be drop forging, guys. So let's remove this guy. It was a little on the dull side anyway, so no big deal. All right, well, you know what? So much easier, guys. Okay. All right, and I think I need to move that way around so that I don't accidentally drop my angle grinder again when I'm doing this. So that needs to go that way. And I completely missed my garbage. That's fun. Okay. But yes, I love that even when we're not forging stuff, we are still drop forging things, right? I think that's my thing. Okay, let's start again. You guys can kind of see how teeny that blade has gotten. It was a brand new blade when I started. So we're going to change that blade. They just keep on getting stuck. Keep on keeping on. It's a lot of metal to travel through. It definitely is. These guys are designed to get eaten away as they go. So yeah, it is a lot of metal to get through. It does not want to come off of here. Now does it? All right, let's try this again. I think we're off now. Yes, we are. Cool. Now we can go over there and grab another. That's why I bought so many of them, because I knew that it was going to take quite a few of them in order to cut this. I'm going to give myself a tiny bit of a rest and we can talk a little bit. Another side project, fabricate a spanner wrench for the grinder bolt, right? Like, these usually work for most of my projects, most of my issues with it, you know, but because it is such a really hard or thick metal, it's just getting tighter and tighter as it goes. So I think that is our issue. We will be able to finish these though today. It should be pretty easy. We've got 2 more cuts after this main one. We've got this one here and then 2 here for the bottom plate. I'm not going to worry about taking the little like 1/2 inch off of the end of both of these guys, at least not for the moment, right? Yeah, the vibration's really tight. It does. It definitely tightens it. So we will be going through with the drill press and opening up little holes so that we can open this window. But I'm wondering if we just do the 2 long lines and then maybe we use the forge to chisel the shorter ones out. I don't think there's enough space between the 2 corners for us to get the angle grinder in there. So I'm thinking we're just going to heat them up in the forge and use a chisel to pop them out. It'll be like using a punch or a hot cut. It'll save us a little bit of discs and it'll be a fun project. All right. All righty. It helps when your mask is the right way up. There's a designated nose space on these guys. All right, so we've got an ad coming up, and I don't think that I'm going to let the ad stop me just because I want to get through this. And I think that the sparks are really fun to watch, but I don't necessarily think that, you know, you guys will miss much. If I keep on keeping on. After we get this big one, this big cut finished, I'm gonna let the angle grinder is starting to get a little bit warm. So before I do these two cuts here, I'm gonna let this cool down just a hair. And we will continue after that. So let's keep on keeping on for now. Yeah. Hey, Dr. Optimal. Welcome to the stream. I think we're still in an ad right now. So apologies. Let me grab some gloves real fast because this one needs, I think I need to like break it a little bit. So let me grab a set of gloves so that it's not too hot for me to pick up. Hello, hello, people. All right. These gloves always make me a little bit nervous because I never use them. I have another set that I often use. And so I'm always afraid that some kind of little animal has found its way inside of these gloves. So I am always a little bit on the nervous side. Okay, so you can kind of see that there's a slot all the way through here, but it's kind of a little bit small. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to go and grab the anvil and we're going to hammer on this a little bit. But before we do that, safety glasses and headphones. And then we're going to take a little bit of a break. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the conference and what we've been up to over the past couple of days. And yeah. Okay. Whoops. So I'm going to close that door a little bit. And then I'm going to move the camera angle just a hair so you guys can kind of see. That indeed I have moved the anvil over there. And we're going to move the camera so you guys can kind of see the anvil as I'm doing this. Whoa. As I kick the camera a little bit. Okay. We're going to grab the ugliest dead blow hammer I've ever seen. And I think we're going to hammer just like so. Okay, so you can kind of see it's starting to move on us a little bit there. A little bit. I think I might need to turn this over like so and then get that extra little area, just cut it. I think that's probably going to be a little bit easier than the dead blow for this particular time. All right, let's move the cameras again. This is kind of how I go about things when I'm, working on them alone a little bit. I have a tendency to change things up and move around the shop and stuff. I feel like it's a little bit unnatural sometimes when I have to work on things in a specific order sometimes. But I think it's all right. It's good to learn to organize yourself, Make things more efficient. Okay. We'll move those out of the way for the moment. I'm going to grab a drink. I have been closing the little mouthpiece on this every time or after every drink because I don't want to get nasty metal shavings in here. So I'm actually super duper excited for when we get this thing completed. I'm really hoping that it revolutionizes our blacksmithing. So basically what this is a dies for our work, right? So kind of like the dies that we have in the press, but this will sit inside of the anvil on the hardy hole, and we'll be able to kind of use them by hand. So basically we'll have pieces of stock that we can kind of put inside of the little holes that or the windows, and there will be little dies on the bottom and the top. And so when we put the steel through, the hot steel through, we can hammer the die at the top, and then the jaws will clench, and it makes it a lot easier to make things like tenons and stuff. So I'm machine alignment with hand power. Exactly. It's going to make things a lot more precise, a lot more easy to do, especially for tenons. And so I'm super looking forward to using this. All of our stuff is going to be a little bit more clean because we have this piece, but it is quite a bit of effort getting it to work, you know, or like making it. So, you know, there's plenty of versions of this that you can actually purchase from different blacksmithing websites. The design that I'm currently going off of right now is the Christ Center device. It is the single jaw version of it. They have 3, right? So they have the window version, and then they have a C-shaped version that has 1 set of jaws, and then they have a 2 jaw version of it that is that same C design. So it's pretty good, you know? I'm hoping that it works for us, you know? I'm hoping that it works for us. Now I'm going to wait a little bit longer, though, I think, before I do this, because like I said, my angle grinder is a little bit on the warm side, and I want to kind of allow it the time that it's going to need to cool off. I don't want to burn out my engine or like my motor in here. I mean, I've had this angle grinder for many, many years. This is my 2nd angle grinder. My first angle grinder I got from Harbor Freight, and I burned it out in like a year. And then I've had this DeWalt one ever since. It's been pretty good to me. It's kind of hard to like go wrong with an angle grinder. I'm not even sure how I burned out my first one because they're just such simple little machines. Well, that was fun. Somebody just moved like a big load of something and like dumped it on top of like in a dumpster or something. Several months ago, like I don't know, maybe 6 months ago, last fall, they tore down these houses on this side of me. Well, they finally started the construction project over there. So there's like construction vehicles all over and kind of working on making an expansion. So I don't know that I've ever actually told you guys what's over there, but it is a fitness center or like a community center. So they have a pool and a bunch of running areas, like tracks. They have an indoor and an outdoor track. The outdoor track is kind of more for like track and field kind of events. Then they've also got like soccer fields, and you know, it's just kind of like that community center feel. They also have like a room with like billiards and stuff like that people can utilize. And it's supposed to be the community center. It's also like our polling place for voting. But you still have to, like, even if you live in the community, you still kind of have to pay a monthly fee to use it. So I don't know. I think it's kind of a cool thing to be next to, but it's also kind of like very busy all the time. So that's what they're doing over there. So yeah. Another thing that's been going on is we went to the Off-Broadway last night. We went and saw Spam-A-Lot, and it was an Off-Broadway cast at the Fox Theater in St. Louis. And if you look up the Fox Theater, it is absolutely gorgeous. The entire interior, it's kind of like just very ornate with all kinds of moldings and sculptures. The whole thing is kind of like inspired by Hindu culture, and so there's like a whole bunch of like lions and gold and garish things. It's pretty cool, the interior of it. And yeah, we were able to go and see the Spam-A-Lot show, and it was actually pretty good. It was a little bit different because, like, you watch the movie and there's like a certain set of bits, and they kind of have like a timely, like, they're very timely for the time that the movie came out. Well, a lot of those bits got kind of modernized, so there was some interesting things like Taylor Swift was mentioned. The Lady of the Lake in her mid act 2 appearance was singing Celine Dion. Um, so it was actually a pretty fun show. They did a really good job. So it was fun, but it was also exhausting, right? Because it's such a formal event space that you kind of they don't let you into your seats until like right before the show. So we got there super duper early, and we ended up having to stand for a while. And after spending all last weekend at the BAM conference, I'm still a little tired. But yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I wanted to thank you guys for watching the BAM stream. And I hope you guys had as much fun watching as I did streaming it. It was pretty fun. So on Saturday, we kind of went around and we did a couple of interviews before the stream, and then we kind of went around to talk to different people to see if we could, like, pre-plan where we hit. And I think that actually worked out pretty well, like, overall. I was pretty happy with the stops that we were able to make on the stream. And so I think that's the new plan, is to kind of like pre-route or pre-map how we're going to go and who we're going to talk to. It makes it a little bit easier for people to kind of know what they want to talk about, kind of think about things. That way I don't put people on the spot. So yeah, that's kind of how it went. So yeah, I'm really super glad to be back here today. I did, honestly, on Monday, I probably could have streamed, except for the fact that, like, I totally didn't even think about it. I looked at the clock, and it was 2:30 my time, and we started streaming at 1:30 my time. So I was like an hour late to even thinking about streaming because I was just like out of it. So, I mean, that's probably a good thing that I didn't stream. So, I don't know. But yeah. And so that is the first. BAM was our very first on-site conference. And the plan is to do 6 of those total. So we've got 5 more left to do. And it was a little bit expensive to do on the gas side of things. So we're really starting to try and, like, thin out and kind of plan things. So there is chances that we will end up having to drop some of these streams, like these trips, if things are not gonna, or if gas isn't gonna go down. But I mean, I'm still planning on it. It's kind of like a case by case basis and stuff like that. So, hopefully gas won't go up too much further. Hey, Corwin, thank you so much for that resub. 10 months. That is insane. Thank you so much for your continued support. Thank you. Over halfway there. 5 new subs. Woohoo! Exciting. Ooh. Excuse me. Goodness gracious. The dust from the angle grinder and the metal is starting to kick up, and so I'm starting to sneeze a little bit. I'm probably going to do a little bit more. We're going to disconnect this piece here, and then from there, thank you, Mahalo. Bless you. Awesome. So yeah, I'm going to disconnect these 2 pieces, and then we're probably going to take another little break. And we've got 2 more cuts that I want to make, and then we're going to do some drill stuff. But yeah, So let's try another thing. That way, you know, I can have my mask on and then maybe I won't sneeze again, right? And I think I'm gonna go over there that time. Alrighty. As I keep tripping on things. That's awesome. Alright. Let's try this. Alrighty. So we have our second piece. So now we have a front and a back. Super exciting. So we are going to now turn this guy over. And we've got a cut here that we need to make and a cut here we need to make. I'm not going to worry about this cut right here because I think it'll be all right if it hangs off a little bit. GeoCrash just raided in with 5. Thank you so much for that raid. Welcome to the stream. Hello, hello. I'm Ray, and I'm a blacksmith. Today we're doing a little bit more on the fabrication side than actual blacksmithing. But later on, we might do a little bit of blacksmithing, depending on how far we get with this project. So right now, I am making a blacksmith friend, which is it's a machine. It's kind of a really simplistic machine. But right now, we've got a front and a back. And you can kind of see that I've drawn in a little like square in the center of these pieces. So this is going to be a little window that we're going to cut out of here, right? So then the front and the back sit one in front of the other. And then a set of dies sits in between them. And these two windows allow us to put hot metal through there and in between the two dies. So then we take a hand hammer and we hammer the top die, and that will allow us to create new and different and interesting shapes. So this is called a blacksmith friend. It is also called a guillotine tool. I didn't really want to use that as my title today, because, you know, recently I've already had some shackles on the stream and some chains, and I wanted to be a little bit, you know, less controversial, I think. So welcome in, welcome in. We are taking a small break since I just finished a cut. And I'm going to take a little bit of a drink, and I'm going to allow my angle grinder to cool down a little bit. Yes, I'm getting medieval. But I promise, all of these questionable projects are leading to something, right? They're all tools that are going to help us be better blacksmiths, right? So the guillotine tool allows us to get much more precise and specific edges on different pieces of that we're working on. So there is this type of part. It's called a tenon. So it's kind of like if you go and put together a set of wooden kitchen chairs, right? You've got like the seat and the back, and there's the uprights, and then there's legs, and right between the legs of your kitchen chairs oftentimes there's like bracing, right? And if you cared to pull those apart, you'd kind of see that the ends of those braces are kind of thinner than the brace itself, and they go through a hole in the perpendicular braces, right? And that's kind of how they hold together, right? Well, those are called tenons, and the holes are the mortise. So in blacksmithing, you can make those as well. And oftentimes when you do, you put the tenon through the hole, and then you can use a riveting technique to kind of stick it in there and keep it nice and secure. So that is a blacksmith connection. So we are making our guillotine tool / our blacksmith helper tool to make it a lot easier for us to make tenons. I've made tenons before by hand just on the face of the anvil, but it's very difficult to get very clean faces on those. So it's kind of hard to get them to like not wiggle around a little bit, you know? When your face is not clean, your connection isn't trued up enough. It's going to wiggle on you. So that's what we're up to today. We're making a tool to make other tools and other projects more convenient and easier. Alrighty. I am out of Gatorade, guys. I'm starting to run low on water, and so later on today, I'm gonna have to refill my water with actual water. Goodness gracious, guys. I don't know how I feel about that. All right, so we are going to be starting a new cut. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I am going to clamp our piece of steel, and this is 1/2 inch steel, so it is super duper thick. But I need to clamp it onto the table so that as I'm using my angle grinder, it's not wiggling around on me. If it wiggles around on me, then it's going to break the blade and it's going to fling things everywhere. That's very dangerous. We want to make sure that we keep things nice and flat on here and properly secured. This is the worst clamp in my shop. And so we are going to do our very best to use it in spite of itself. Oops. You know, it helps when you unscrew it to begin with, right? So you don't hit the end of it. All right, I have a soapstone around here somewhere. Ha, there it is. And then I have my T-square, which ended up falling on the floor. And I am going to reaffirm this line because it's a little bit light. And I want to make sure that I can see it nice and good when I start cutting it. Alrighty. Come on. Now we're going to clamp the other side. If I can get the clamp to work, that is. This is what I get for getting like the cheapest set of clamps that I can get a hold of, you know? The one is like it won't close, and this one doesn't want to open. Goodness gracious. All right, so we got that in there real nice and tight. And I am going to move our camera so you guys can see a little bit easier. Our piece and the cut that it makes. Do, 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 do. All right. Good. Yep, you can see that line pretty well. Okay. Another drink. Looks like the main camera froze. It did. Goodness gracious, that's really awkward. It doesn't normally freeze on me. I'm gonna transfer to the Be Right Back camera or the Be Right Back screen. I believe this is a little bit on the loud side, so be aware. I will make it like lower if I can once I start it. Okay, I think it's all right. I think I must have lowered it already. Okay, give me just one moment to kind of make sure that I can fix that. Let's do this. Okay. Okay. I think we're doing a little better. I hope we're doing a little better. Apologies for that. I have no idea why it's being weird like that. Okay. Okay. It hasn't froze. So I fixed that part. Okay. Let's see. I've got an ad starting soon. Can you guys see? I hope you guys can see. I don't know. My stream chat, okay, you guys can see. Cool. Ah, okay, I see. Mahalo's last emote, it didn't load it right away. So I was a little bit worried. Okay. We've got another ad coming in. I think that this is going to be a really short line. So I think I'm going to wait until the ad is over before I do my next cut. And yeah. It also helps if I hit record on the camera, right? It does. So yeah. This weekend, it was pretty fun. They had a gunsmith, and I know that I promised you guys a gunsmith demo on went back in like September during Quad State, and it turned out that the picture freezes shortly once in a while. I'm sorry. I wonder if it's because I'm dropping frames. Yeah, I'm starting to drop a little bit. I'm sorry. They seem to be doing all right now. It's like jumping up and down a little bit. I apologize. I don't know why it does that. I don't know. Maybe I need to like call the ISP again. I might need to call the ISP again. I will try to do that. So yeah, I promised you guys a gunsmith demo, and I couldn't deliver for Quad State. But you know what? They had another gunsmith up at the BAM conference, and he was done with his demo before our stream. So I didn't really get to show you him actively forging, but we did get a few shots of him before he finished earlier that day. And then we also got to interview him. So one of our 5 videos will be the gunsmith. And he was really knowledgeable about the history of gunsmithing in the United States. And he used to work at the Williamsburg. And so, yeah, he talked a little bit about just kind of the history and how it works and stuff. So I'm really looking forward to putting that video out. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. All right. So we are in the middle of our ad now. So once this is over, I will do my next cut. We have 2 more cuts left to do. And then we have a little bit of drilling to do so that we can do 4 more cuts. We're getting we're starting to cook with gas with this project. I'm pretty excited. I was a little bit discouraged earlier this month, or I guess last week, on Wednesday, when it took forever for me to make that first cut. And I think I've finally gotten back into the swing of it, and I think we're doing all right. So super excited. Did you get to do any hands-on smithing at BAM? Unfortunately, I did not. We were running from thing to thing to thing all day on Saturday. If we had, I really wanted to get there a little bit earlier, but we just couldn't quite get there in time. We had some rush hour traffic that we had to get through, but my goal had been to sign up for the forging competition on Friday night. So the forging competition, it was really cool. So what happened is they had a box, and you got to put your hand in the box for 1 minute and feel the object inside of the box. Very Dune of them, right? Does that not sound like Dune? You put your hand in the box and you don't know what's inside the box. So you put your hand in the box and you can feel the object for 1 minute. And as you're feeling this object, you kind of have to figure out what it is. So it was an object that was, it was a forged object, and that was the thing that you had to make for the contest. So once you pulled your piece of steel out of the forge, you had 10 minutes to forge the thing that you felt inside of the box. So it was interesting because when we got there, the first thing that we were able to do was just go to the forging contest, and we didn't see the guys putting their hand in the box. We talked to one of the competitors after the fact on Saturday, and they told us how it worked. So basically, it was a band that on one end had a hole in it, and you were supposed to thread the other end of the band through that hole and then kind of cut it off and kind of upset it. So it was like a little round thing, and it was kind of thin and a wider rectangular piece of steel that you kind of threaded the end through, kind of Ouroboros style, right? So you started with a little piece of round steel. You had to flatten it out, and you had to open a hole and then thread your tail through. And you had 10 minutes to do it. I don't think I could have done that in 10 minutes. So that's another thing that we'll definitely show you guys footage of over the next couple weeks with these videos that we're posting up on YouTube. So it was pretty interesting to watch. But yeah, I didn't get to do any hands-on smithing because we did 1, 2, 3, 4 interviews plus the stream, and then we also had to go and get some B-roll. And at that point, or throughout the day, I was pretty exhausted, so I had to do a little bit of resting. We also had to have lunch, so it was just a lot going on. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that our next event I will be able to get up and do some hands-on forging. It would be fun. So it will happen eventually. It did not happen this time, unfortunately. Alrighty. So now that the ad's over, let's do another cut. I'm going to move these so they don't fall off. But yeah, when they told me, the competitor told me that they had to stick their hand in a box, I was like, That's very Dune. What was in the box? Was it painful? Hey, Bluesy, welcome to the stream. Hello, hello. All right, let's start this cut. Let's not step on our cable or on our cord. That would help. All right, let's do this. All righty. So, does each competitor supply their own tools for that? So you can supply your own tools if you choose to, but there are a certain number of tools that are available for you to pick up and use if you need them, right? You can't really, if you don't know what the object is that you are going to be forging, it's kind of hard to make sure that you have every single tool, available to you. So it's like, if you don't know that you're going to need a drift, then, you got to make sure that there's something for people to use, So yeah, they all had, I think they were 2-pound hammers, at least that's what they looked like to me. And they had drifts, they had hot cuts, they each had their own anvil. They were sharing forges, but there were like 3 of them. And yeah, so that's kind of how it worked. And yeah. It looked like a really fun contest. I wanted to participate, but unfortunately, we just did not get there in time. Like I said, we had a little bit of trouble with rush hour traffic because we left from the butler's place of employment. So, they work in the city of St. Louis. So, yeah. Bluesy, a 5-stream streak. That is awesome. Thank you so much for that support. Thank you so much. Crazy, incredible. I streaked 5 times through this. Did you? Well, I must have missed it. I must have missed it. All right, so we have another cut right here, and this is going to be the base of our project. So we are going to be welding both the front and the back to the base. You've seen me in all my glory now. Well, all your glory. But yeah, it was pretty fun. It was fun to watch, and I wish I could have participated. All right, let's see. It's going to be a good angle. I wonder if I could stick it over there. You might actually be able to see it in the camera, but I think it might, I don't know. Actually, I think that might give you guys a view of my shoulder as opposed to the cut. So I think our next camera angle might just be over here. Got to be a little bit careful, though, to be off-centered enough that the sparks aren't going to hit us, like the camera. Because, you know, we want to make sure that we keep our lenses in really good condition. All right. So yeah, I'm super excited to be able to, you know, hang out with some amazing blacksmiths and share my experience with you guys. All right, so we're going to do our next cut. It's going to be right here. This is going to, like I said, this is going to be our base. So then we'll have both the front, the back, and the base done. The next thing that we got to do after this cut is we need to drill holes so that we can open up the windows on the front and back of this project. Like I said, I really want to make sure that we get this thing done by this weekend. So if we don't get everything done before, oh, you know what? I am not a very good angle right now. So let me get a little bit better of an angle. Oh wait, this is an all right angle, I guess. I was seeing the front piece and not. There we go. That'll work. But yeah, so I want to start a brand new project on Monday. And I'll talk to you a little bit after I get this cut done. All right, I need to change this blade because it's starting to get a little bit small. So we're going to do that real fast. So, like I said, I want to finish this particular job before Monday. And the reason I want to do that is because I want to start a new project on Monday, but I have 3 projects that I'm thinking about doing. I'm kind of, you know, in the middle of all of them. And I think I know what I'm going to do, but I'm not positive. So I want you guys' opinion, right? So the first project that I'm thinking about is a trowel, right? And that's probably the one that we're going to pick, right? I really want to make a trowel. I think it's going to be a relatively recognizable gardening tool. I should be able to use it very well for digging up some of the weeds that are currently in my garden, and I think it'd be nice to have, right? I would also eventually like to do the little 3-pronged fork that kind of digs up and in the garden and stuff. So we'll probably do at least one of those projects, right? The trowel or the little 3-pronged little Reiki thing. I don't know what it's called. You guys probably do, but I don't know what it's called. Anyway, so my next project that I would like to do is a set of wolf jaw tongs. Now, I've been talking about this since we were making the animals, because we need something better to grab a hold of our pieces of steel and keep them in place. And a pair of wolf jaw tongs is going to be amazing for that. So that is my second project, right? And then my third project is, as some of you guys know, I am involved in a blacksmithing challenge group on Instagram. And I was unable to participate the last couple of months, and I would really like to participate this month. So we are, this month's challenge topic is a medical tool from the 17 to 1800s. So I feel like that's very, very vague. And I think you could interpret that in a lot of different places. Commemorative USA 250 garden tool set. Yeah, I mean, we could do that. I don't know. I don't know how we'd go about it. I think I have some stars that I could, or I've got some star punches I might be able to kind of utilize. I made some Taylor Swift bracelets, and I put some stars on them, and I could probably put a few, star spangles on our gardening tools if you guys want it to be commemorative 250 garden tools. But yeah, so I'm thinking an ice pick, because when I hear when I hear 17 to 1800s medical tools, my brain immediately goes to lobotomies. I don't know why, but So, I mean, there's a lot of other medical tools that are around that you could use. I mean, scalpels for one, other sorts of medical tools, but I do want to participate. It can be multimedia. You can use grinders, but you cannot use electronic welding. So we'll see, what medical instrument I can come up with by the end of the month. But I think, I think an ice pick would be a really easy one to do. And I've got a lot going on this month. So I don't know. I think that Monday's project will either be the trowel or the little 3-prong Reiki thing. And I think I might push back the wolf jaw tongs a little bit later. So that's kind of where my brain is. If you guys have any suggestions, please do let me know. I'm always taking suggestions. How about a doorknob for pulling teeth? I mean, yeah, you tie a string around the doorknob and you slam the door, and it's supposed to get rid of your tooth for a toothache. I did that a couple times when I was a kid. My dad's like, oh, you want money from the tooth fairy, you got to pull your loose tooth. And so I tried that once. I did not do so hot with it because, you slam the door and it's a little bit painful. So I didn't slam it as hard as I could have. So I kind of wussed out about that. But yeah, that is definitely something that we could do. So I don't know. We'll have to come up with a good medical tool to, something that's maybe a little bit less odd than an ice pick for a lobotomy. All right, let's do our next cut. Let's go this way around so I don't trip over my cord again. I keep tripping over my cord. Alrighty. Alrighty. So we have our base. And then we have our front that goes like so. And our back that goes back here. So now we have a bottom plate. And this thing is going to be heavy as all get out, it looks like. So the next thing that we need to do is work on these windows. We've got windows on either side. Alrighty. I'm going to be quiet. Yeah, Lucy, I'm sure you have some great medical suggestions. I'm sure I also thought a few of, or the same thing for a few of them. Because, yeah. But I want things to be very safe for work on the stream. So, you know, even the ice pick is a little bit less than safe for work, in my opinion. So we're going to come up with something. Peg leg might work. Peg leg might work a lot better. And that's a lot more safe for work than, you know, a lobotomy tool. Okay. Okay. So like I said, the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to look at making these pulling these windows out. So what we need to do is take these guys over to the drill press. Which I pulled out of the other shop. We're going to plug her in like so. I got, you know, laser and the light. And we're going to kind of drill holes in the corners. So we can open up, or we can use the angle grinder to kind of open those up. Now, I think we're only going to be able to use the angle grinder for the two long sides. I think we're going to have to maybe chisel out the shorter sides using the the forge and an actual chisel. Gotta watch all the Dr. Baker episodes of Little House on the Prairie for research. I mean, yeah, I'll have to find those. Did you guys hear? I think I read on Facebook somewhere that they're thinking about rebooting Little House on the Prairie. And they're trying to make a new series of it. And I'm kind of like, I don't know. I really liked the old series, you know? I grew up watching, you know, the original series with Michael Landon. So I don't know how I feel about them rebooting it. You know what I mean? All right, I'm running out of water. We got an ad coming up here in a second. And I think, all right, I'm just gonna let that sit over there. All right. Need one there. I had one, I had it, it was a clamp. Where did I put my clamp? Goodness gracious, guys, where did I put my clamp? It fell on the ground. It fell on the ground. Okay. There's that. Okay, so once the ad is done, I'll kind of figure out how we're going to go about doing this. I do need to change the camera angle of the close-up. I brought it out here so that maybe you guys might be able to see the drill. So you'll probably be able to see it in the wide, or the camera in the wide, but I really want you guys to be able to see the hole that I'm drilling. I'm trying. Man, that light's a little bit awkward. It's super duper bright. So maybe if I turn that light off, it might be easier for you guys. Oh, that's the laser, not the light. Might be a little easier for you guys to see. There we go. Now we can see the laser and the plate. So we should be able to see the hole going down. Alrighty. Hey, Blue Red. Welcome to the stream. Hello, hello. Ooh, it's kind of cold today for no reason. It rained for the past couple of days. Like, it stormed. My vegetables absolutely love it, but I don't, because it brings the temperature down. And then I get cold and I'm sitting here in a sweatshirt, and, you know, sometimes it's like short sleeves, sometimes it's with a sweatshirt, and it also makes me like not be able to breathe very well. So I don't know. I just want it to be, I want the temperature to kind of stabilize a little bit. We've been up and down and all around lately. And it would definitely be nice if we could, you know, stay where we're at now. So this piece of plate, 1/2-inch plate, has a little bit of surface rust on it. So I am expecting that it's going to hold the drill bit a little bit better than if it wasn't. It wasn't there. So I'm not going to use a center punch for this, and I might regret that. But yeah, same here. Been raining on me on and off for the past few days. Cold front moved through, and now it's 10 degrees cooler. Yeah, it was like 70 yesterday, and now it's like down in the 50s and 60s. So I don't appreciate it. I don't appreciate it. All right, there's the ad. Okay, I am going to go and grab water in my cup. It's going to take me a little bit of extra time. Hopefully I'll be back before the ad ends. haven't gone shopping since we got back from BAM, so I don't have any juice and I don't have any Gatorade. I don't know what I'm gonna do, man. Just water and soda. I guess I'm just drinking more water, huh? Okay. It's alright though. Water is good for me. Alright, I'm on my way back. Alright. Wada wada. Oh, you know what? It helps. Hey, Yankee. Welcome to the stream. Today we're doing a little bit of fabrication. We are continuing to work on our Blacksmith helper or our guillotine tool. It is so that we can line up dies and kind of use them with the hand hammer on the anvil. So we've cut out all of our pieces, and so now we are cutting out 2 windows in the front and the back. These are so that we can stick hot metal into the or between the dies while there's still enough space for the dies to not move around and jiggle a bit. So that's what we're up to today. So we're not doing a lot of fire and, you know, exciting, but we are doing a little bit of flying sparks and some fabrication. So we probably won't, well, I know for a fact we will not get to welding today, but hopefully we will get that completed by Friday. So that's what we're up to today. Okay. So hopefully you guys can kind of see at least a little bit what's going on this. So you know what, before I do this, I need to grab some lubricant. I'm just going to use this old drill bit to apply the lubricant, because I want to make sure that we don't overheat things as we're going. Okay. Look how easy that's going through that. That is amazing, guys. Amazing. And these are the step drill bits that you guys sent me in the mail. We got these guys back in December, I think. Maybe earlier than that. I don't remember. Sometime last year, though. Did we go all the way through? I think we did. So I'm going to make this hole a little bit on the bigger side. We're going to use the steps to go a little. I just wanted to make sure that we could see all the way through it. Okay. Nice. So I hope you guys can see that lovely little hole that we've got there. And it's a little bit on that side. It's not too bad. I think I might go this direction as well. just so that we can kind of make sure that it's good on both sides. Alrighty. That's what we got. Not too bad. All right. So now we're going to work on the other side. We've got 4 holes to drill. Let's get a little bit more oil on there. It is crazy how easily this cuts through. We're going to make sure that we're going the opposite side through too a little bit. Making chips, not drama, right? Like I said, it's cutting through just like butter. It's gorgeous. I love these bits. Thank you guys so much for sending them to me. You know, it's the whole drop forge thing. I can't just not drop forge things, right? That's my thing. That's why you guys watch me, right? Because I drop everything. All right, one more hole on this one, and we're good. A chip removal technique. I'm not sure I'm familiar with what you're talking about, Mahalo. Kind of coming at it from the back so that I can, because I'm using a step drill bit, so when it pokes through, it's a lot skinnier than the top. So I'm kind of trying to even it out. It ends up being kind of like hourglass-esque when I use this technique. But I just want the holes to be similar-ish all the way through. Really, I'm just trying to give myself a stopping point for the angle grinder and like a guide. Whoops, wrong one. Oh, dropping the piece on the floor. Probably. I mean, that could work, you know, dropping things on the floor. Now I need to move mine. Okay. Alrighty. I need to grab my tape measure. To make sure everything's where it needs to be. Is there anything I could drop down there? That would make me a happy camper, is if I could drop something down there. So I could kind of almost give myself a guiding, or like a guide. Oh, I know what I can do. I can put oil through them. That way it'll come out the other side and I'll be able to kind of like see where it comes out, right? At least I think that's how it'll work. We'll let it sit there for a little bit so that it works its way down. Because I want to make sure that the windows line up. They don't have to be like super duper precisely, but it makes it a lot easier for me if they do line up. You know what I mean? Goodness gracious. Water, guys, water. Okay. Let's see if this worked. It did work. Super exciting. You can kind of see the oil. I'll kind of show it to you, you know, as I get these on here, like so. Kind of trying to keep everything, you know, centered in these little drippies. Okay. So you should be able to see the oil on there, I hope. Oops, wrong way. There's a little bit right there and there and there. Okay. Yay, chips. You know, Mahalo, my very, very favorite way to remove chips is to eat them straight out of the bag. But you know what? The butler does not like it when I do that, because they say that I have grubby hands. So if I put my dirty hands in the chip bag, they won't eat that bag of chips anymore. So I try to pour the chips out of the bag as I go. All right. So because I have oil on all of these, marking where my where the center areas of all of these holes are, I am going to be doing all of the fronts first, and then we're going to flip it over and do all of the backs next. That's better. I know. This is taking a little bit of extra time. This is a lot less interesting than when I'm forging stuff because, you get to see those immediate results when I'm doing the forging stuff. So we will be back to forging stuff on Monday. We will probably be doing a trowel. So I think I might see about doing maybe a single piece trowel. I've got to figure out if I think that I can make both the blade and the handle out of the same piece of steel, Oh, you know what? It was this one over here. Oops, I did that the wrong way. I'm a smart lady sometimes. Alrighty. We is done with that part. I made a trowel from a railroad spike, and that's basically a 6-inch piece of 5/8 square, not including the spike head. There are a few videos on YouTube showing that. Yeah, I think that it's possible to do. I think I need to figure out like how long a piece. I mean, if you did it out of a 6-inch piece of 5/8, I mean, that's probably the best thing, the best way I'd go about it. My only issue is like, do I want to do like a handle that is like, you know, a thicker piece of stock that's attached to the trowel itself? Or do I want to just make like a little tang that goes inside of a piece of wood? I think it'd be a lot easier and a lot nicer if I had an actual like a wooden handle for it. So I think I should probably do that, like wood or leather. That way, you know, I'm not going to automatically get blisters from using this piece. So I don't know. I think that's probably the way to go. I think you guys are right. All right. So we've got an ad coming up here shortly. And then we got about a half an hour left in the stream after that. I don't think that I can do, or I think that I will be able to do at least one more cut on this guy. So I think we'll be all right. So yeah. I'll probably end the stream in about a half an hour. And we will continue working on this on Friday. That's my next stream. I've had a lot of trouble today, like remembering what day it is. For whatever reason, I thought it was like Tuesday, and it doesn't make sense that it's Tuesday because yesterday was Tuesday. So I don't know. I'm having a little bit of trouble keeping track of my days this week because, you know, we were barely coming home on Monday. So like, yeah. It was exhausting, this trip. I had so much fun, but I was exhausted. So like I said, we're going to do one more cut, I think. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to start setting it up. We are cutting out the little windows. So we just did 4 holes on each of these two, like the front plate and the back plate. So basically we're going to take the angle grinder and we're going to connect the holes on all 4 sides. Are you sure it was Monday? I mean, I think we actually for real got home on Sunday afternoon, but it felt like it was Monday then. It felt like it was Sunday on Monday, and yeah, Tuesday felt like Monday to me. So I'm all kinds of discombobulated when it comes to time today, and I guess for the rest of the week too. So yeah. All right. I'm going to set this guy up so that we can do this last cut. And I hope it works out for us. This is definitely the way I would do this for jewelry pieces. But I honestly am not sure if this is the best way to do this for a piece of steel, you know? But I do my best, you know? I do my best. And I think we're going to go from this side, and it's going to be like so. Okay, cool. Now I need to move the camera to a point where y'all can see what I'm doing. You know what? I still have the laser on. I should turn that off. Back to over here. Okay. Oh, you guys can totally see the camera in the wide shot. I think that's all right though. I don't think that's going to be a bad thing. Okay. I think the ad is up now, right? Yeah. The ad starts in, according to this, 26 minutes. All right, cool. I'm good to go. I can do this. All right, let's do this. Let's try and do this. All right. So basically what we're going to be doing is we've got a hole here and a hole here that we use the drill press to drill. We are going to bring this guy through like so. We're going to connect the two holes along this line, and the holes are going to create the corners. So that is the plan. I think we're going to be fine on the long side, but the skinny sides, those are going to be the hard part. Definitely going to be the hard part. Okay. Don't step on your cords, Ray. Cool. Okay. So we still have some to go. Alright, cool. Alright, so we got exactly what we wanted on this particular cut. So now we need to turn this over and do that cut as well. However, I think I'm going to save that for Friday's stream. Getting a bit tired. And it's starting to get close to the end of stream time. Alrighty, guys. So thank you all for joining me today. I am so glad to be back into my shop. I had so much fun at BAM, but it's something else sleeping in your own bed and being in your own shop, you know? So thank you all for joining me on this incredible journey. And I think I will see you guys on Friday, hopefully. So yeah, we are going to raid off. We're a little bit early, but I don't really want to start the next one just yet. So. All right, who we got? Yeah, thanks. Thank you. Thank you all. Who do we got? Let's do Miramac. It's been a while since we've raided off to Miramac. Oh, they'll be right back. Hopefully they won't be gone too long. Alrighty, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Bye.